with us tonight. Taylor, is he willing to serve again, or is somebody else interested in the job?
Hey,
I don't know if we want a vice chair that doesn't come. Oh, sorry. Sorry, we're good.
Right. We have a nomination for Gerald over there.
Who nominated?
Les.
Nominated Jerry here. Okay.
We have any other nominations? Do we have any other nominations? Do we have any other nominations? Any motion to close nominations, cast the ballot then for Jerry for vice chair?
I'll move we do that.
And a second?
I second.
Thanks, Mary.
So, who is the secretary? Okay, Mary?
Oh.
Okay, I'll let you.
All right, we've got a motion to close nominations for vice chair and cast the ballot for Jerry Rowan as vice chair. All in favor, say aye.
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 And one dissenter on that. And we have one latecomer. We'll let that person introduce. Thanks, Alex. So, just missed out on getting a job. So, we're up to item number 8, Wisconsin Recycling Law Review. Who's taking care of that?
All right. So you should all have those packets that I handed out. The first page goes over the Wisconsin recycling law. It just includes all the items that are banned from being landfilled. Nothing has changed in recent years. They're just all items that we are required as the county RU to make sure we have some area or way for people to dispose of all of these items. Any questions on that page at all? No? Okay. Then we can go to number 9. Our 2019 program year results. So in the packet, you'll see a summary of the Waupaca County Municipal Recycling Program and the agreement. So the agreement details the different roles that the municipalities and the county hold. And then essentially what the county needs to do to remain in its status as an effective, responsible unit. And that's been the same in the last few years, just updating numbers and stuff. But if you guys wanted to take a second to look over it, if there's any questions at all.
How is the prices on doing?
Get
rid of stuff?
Yeah, and I'll talk about that in number 11. Yeah, if we want to go on then to numbers for 2019, there's the first spreadsheet on the bottom. It says page 1. It's 2019 eligible recycling expenses. And all these different spreadsheets just has our tonnage totals and expenses for the program year for 2019. And this is what we use to justify the state's grant funding. As a whole county, the program diverted 8,414 tons of material from landfills in 2019. And that first page just details the eligible recycling expenses. And then these are the expenses that we can use to justify that grant funding. If you're, I don't. Yes, so that has that first page 1. It has our solid waste budget, the drop-off centers, the curbs, and the curbside programs total. So that has everything. And then we have it broken out further into it. Yes. I believe they're expanding their landfill, but then Brown County is also building one. So I'm not, yeah. like Brown County's hiring a landfill manager right now. So, but Tom had heard that Outagamie was expanding like cells, so I'm not, they haven't given us a date in writing yet of when it's closing. I don't think they know for sure.
Is that going to affect anything in your PPF?
It won't affect our recycling budget. It might affect something with solid waste side of things, which they are two separate budgets, just because Brown County's further away. So the cost of transportation will be higher. But I mean, the PTF would stay open. If we want to go to page 2, it has the next spreadsheet shows residential recycling tonnages through all categories. So it has the PTF, drop-offs, curbside, what private haulers are individually contracting, all those different numbers. And then at the very right-hand side, you'll see the 8,414 that I mentioned. That's a pretty big jump from last year. And the reason for that, I think last year it was around 5,000. But a big reason for that is yard waste, just because we had that bad storm last July that impacted a lot of tonnage. All right. We were able to get that ground up, and it's because we waited until this year, and because we waited, it was significantly cheaper. So that was nice. Yeah. No, we kind of got.
The claims are all pulled before that got ground. We had it in our packet when we made our claim to get paid for that, but it wasn't paid. But the county has their contingency fund, so we were able to get the money from the contingency fund to pay for our grinding fees. What was it, about 7,000? Yeah. It would have cost us what, like closer to 20 last.
Yeah, like 17 something.
Yeah.
And now that mulch is available too for people to buy for like $5 a big loader bucket full. So we've had people out there buying that too. So that's nice.
Certain people.
When I was out there, I had like 3 people come in one day, but that was just the day that I worked. So yes. If you guys want to go to page 3 of the spreadsheets, that has the curbside recycling expenses. So I work with the municipalities that have curbside collection like in their taxes. And it shows kind of what they're paying per year. And then at the very bottom, it has below the grid, it says recycling per capita per year. And that number is what each township is paying, you know, per person per year for the garbage and recycling pickup on average.
Now this bottom total expenses for each town, that's the cost of the town to have curbside recycling?
Yes. Yep, so like if we're looking at town of Bear Creek for 2019, they spent $12,922.90. 11,718 of that was contracted expenses, and then 1,200 of that at the bottom was in their contract. The way it was written is that if there's revenue, they get the revenue from the recyclables, but if the MRF is charging to drop them off, then they have to pay those expenses. So that's what that bottom line is the paying of the, you know, to bring their material there. Which
you got per capita, is that the hours per capita or is that per home?
that is per capita. It's using that 829 number on top. I mean, I can just double check because I don't want to be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. 12.
How many people are in Bear Creek?
Yeah, that's 829. The population's at the top, so that's per capita.
So what page are you on?
I'm on page 3 of the spreadsheets. It's on the bottom, has the numbers. It's 2019 recycling expenses, curbside collection. Is everyone ready to go to page 4? So then we have curbside collection, tonnage. It's broken out by municipality as well as by type of material. Because it's single stream, it's not, weighed separately, but we use like mathematical equations to figure out about approximately how much of each material that you guys are bringing in. If we go to page 5, we're looking at drop-off area and the expenses. And as you can see, if you look at their totals, I mean, the per capita is quite a bit cheaper than if you're looking at curbside recycling. But again, that's just, the price of the convenience of not having to, leave your house to get rid of your garbage and recycling and not having to sort things. Yeah, all those expenses are broken out on that spreadsheet. And then on page 6, it is the drop-off tonnage. So I want to see here.
Taylor, I just got one more question.
Yeah,
On the I need to go back to the 2019 recycling expenses curbside collection.
Yep.
I just want to know for the city of Clintonville on the bottom, it's hard for me to read because I'm looking at it on my phone. You have 2580 and then under that 1202. So
the 1202 is the yard waste cost.
oh, I
So
see it now.
Yep.
Yeah, I missed it.
No
Thanks.
worries. So yeah, let's see. Total expenses for the drop-offs was 91,728, and then for curbside it was, let's see, 273,000. Then if we're okay, we're at page 6. We already looked at page 6. We just talked about the tonnage. And then, were there any other questions about any of those numbers at all?
What are you getting for aluminum cans?
So our aluminum cans are baled, so it's a little bit higher than if you bring them in loose. And we were getting 25 cents a pound from Alter for baled aluminum cans. And then our Alter rep from Green Bay came to visit, and he said, like, don't get paid from the Wapaka site, let them send the information to me. And he started paying us 32 cents a pound. So I don't know what the difference is. They're bringing them to the same place, but yeah, talking to a different guy. So he's paying us better. Any other questions? Otherwise, John will.
What they're
Taylor?
paying, whether they're loose and bulk.
Loose, I don't, but I mean, if you want me to look into it, I can. I checked a while ago and it was lower than 20, I remember. But it might be up higher now. Siegel? I'm not. Yeah, I'm not sure. I know Alter was shut down for a while too. We just have always brought to Alter because they just take more volume, I think. But
I just got a quick question.
yeah,
Did you say your 32 cents for cans is because it's baled versus?
yeah,
loose?
yeah. Versus if you just bring like loose aluminum cans, they will pay higher price because they can fit more into a truck if it's baled.
Gotcha. All right.
All right. Do you want to go for the budget stuff, John?
Yeah, the next sheet you see there, it's just got a little chart on the top and then a few bullet points underneath it. I didn't go through like the whole budget, give you all the line items or anything, but the top part is the bottom lines for the solid waste and recycling. It's all lumped together in our budget, but just to kind of show you where it's trending the last few years here. So the 2019 actual, you see the revenues and the expenditures and the impact to the budget. That's the county's budget. That's the 262,807. That's what it costs the county to have a solid waste department that year. So that's what the county pays, and that covers our wages and whatnot. but the recycling is under that budget, but it's a separate budget. So you don't have the recycling costs. The recycling all has to equal 0 according to the county, but that's where municipalities all come in to make that budget 0 with that assessment. So that's where that is at. And you see it's been trending up a little. This last year it went up. The only increase there was on personnel lines from step increases over the years. So that's where the solid waste budget was at. Just to give you kind of an idea how much is coming and going and what the county's throwing into having a solid waste and recycling department. And then the next is just a couple of highlights. When I look at the recycling budget, what stands out and what's important to this group. So for 2021, that's not the numbers we're looking at today for the assessment that we're talking about. But budget for next year, we're predicting the revenues will be down 7,200 from the year from 2020 this year. Just the price of everything just keeps going down, and Taylor will talk about that more for the assessment part here coming up. And then personnel services went up again. That's step increases, and I think last year or for this year coming up the 2021 budget, they're projecting a 1% wage increase for the county, the whole county employees.
So that should say personnel, not personnel.
Oh, yeah, yep. I hear you. So that is correct. And then there was several other, why that doesn't add up to the number there several other costs that Taylor was able to lower within the recycling budget. So, but they're, $100 here, $100 there. So, so in the end, next year for 2021, the assessment is projected to increase by $10,000 or so, but that could all change depending on markets. So, I mean, if the market changes, we do that adjustment just before this meeting. So we kind of do that last projection of what we think is going to happen in the next few months, and then that's the number. So, and then if it does come in better, where we get a little more revenue, it goes into the fund balance that you guys have. So, any questions with that? Yeah, and the way things have been going up and down, I mean, cardboard went way up and then it's back down, and so it's really hard to guess. It is a guess.
So
When is the final? Beginning of the year, or?
Well, the final assessment will be set this time next year for the 2021. So when we look at where we're at this time of year next year, that's when the assessment for next year will be set. So when Taylor starts talking about the assessment numbers for this year, that's for wrapping up 2020. So we don't have to estimate a whole year. We're estimating just a few months, and we can kind of judge, what the prices we're getting right now and where we're at already for revenues, and see, well, we maybe be able to ship a couple more loads of this or one more load of that, so we can get that number tightened up pretty.
What you're recommending here today would be a 2021 budget. You got levy the assessment on
so
St. Lebanon, that's what we're gonna have to come up with.
the assessment we're talking about is for your 21 budget, because you don't have to pay us until March, but you're paying us for the year of 2020. So we're like, it's like almost like a reimbursement kind of thing. But yes, so we have this meeting so you can budget it into your 2021. It's kind of confusing, but our 2020 budget is finished and we're looking at 2021. But this assessment that we're talking about, you're paying in 2021 for your 2021 budget, and then your 2022 budget, it would be looking at our 2021 budget essentially.
Yeah, what you're saying is we're paying actual cost.
Correct.
pretty darn close, yeah. There's only a few months that we're guessing on, basically, you know, so.
Yeah, we send out the letter with how much you owe. I will send it by October 1st. Are you all good,
And
John?
that's all I had, unless anybody has any other questions.
I just have one question.
Go
Um,
ahead.
On the 2020 assessments, you said you're gonna send the letter out to each municipality
Yes,
by when?
by October 1st.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome. So I want to go, this is still kind of a little bit budget. It's the / assessment, the budget review sheet that's next on your page here. And I guess this is also about the estimated municipal assessment. I just wanted to mention, if you're looking at this spreadsheet, when we're looking at 2019 actual numbers, so for expenditures, we're at $260,091. And then with our revenues, we were at 271,000. And so what happened there is our expenses were a lot less than what we had budgeted. That year we had budgeted 275, almost 276,000. So we came in a lot under, but we assessed for what we had budgeted for expenses. And then we made more in revenue than what we were expecting. So we ended up actually putting, you voted last year to use $5,000 out of that fund. But even with using the $5,000, you put in, where did I write this down? It was over $10,000. You put in that difference from our expenses and our revenues back into that fund. So even though you used 5,000, you actually ended up being up over $10,000. So last year, I believe we were at like 45,000 before we decided to vote to use the 5,000. And currently in that fund, we have $56,510.11. So I just wanted to explain some of the difference in those numbers. And then looking at 2020, our expenditures were budgeting at $283,407. It's looking like we're going to be underneath that, but we hate to say that and then not assess you enough and have to come back. We want to, make sure that you're budgeting. And then sale of recyclables, I try to guess as low as possible just because I don't want to all of a sudden not be making money. And again, the assessment not be enough to cover the costs. So we're looking at a total assessment for this year of $91,734, which is actually $3,500 less than we were estimating at our 2019 meeting. Despite the revenues being less than we projected, our budgeted expenses were adjusted after we had a contracted employee go to full-time. So some numbers got kind of moved around there in personnel. And then for revenues for recyclables, we're not going to probably meet that $23,725 that we had budgeted. We did budget very conservatively this year for revenue. Cardboard and mixed paper prices have increased since last year, which definitely has positively affected our budget. Last year, they were not doing great. At one point, cardboard was selling for $35 a ton. And then at one point this year, it shot up to $150 per ton. And now it's kind of leveled back out at around $70 a ton. For most of 2019, we weren't making anything on mixed paper. So we were just giving it away for free. Our last few loads have been selling for like $20, $25 per ton. So that helps. But what has kind of killed us this year is plastics have seen quite a decrease. So, we just can't really catch a break with COVID and then the price of oil just being so low, the cost of recycled plastic just plummeted. For example, we're selling it right now for $140 a ton for the number 1 plastic and then $80 a ton for number 2. Last year in 2019, we were getting around $230 to $320 per ton. So over, half the or less than half this year. And then for number 2 plastic, we are getting $220 to $400 per ton. Currently, we're getting $80. So, it's quite the decrease there. And at the moment, they're so backed up, they won't even pick our stuff up until maybe that middle of October, and I requested a pickup at the beginning of August. So the plastic market isn't doing great, and that's, you know, statewide. I reached out not just to our buyer, but to other counties to see what they're doing, and they're all having a hard time even moving the material. So, you know, just like the stock market, our value of recyclables fluctuate a lot, and the impact of COVID on the economy has definitely affected this industry as well. In 2019, this committee voted to use that $5,000 out of the designated recycling fund to lower your assessment from $79,585 to $74,756. Like I said, your fund balance, however, though, is still at that $56,510. And so if you would wish to offset the assessment this year, you definitely have money to do so. I have put in your packets what you would be looking at per capita if you used $5,000, $10,000, or $15,000 from the fund. I believe if you use 15,000, it would be only a 5-cent increase per capita from last year. So that is, you know, up to you guys what you want to decide to do. And then, I mean, all responsible unit programs, you know, are struggling to be financially viable. Outagamie County increased their solid waste tipping fee again in 2021 for another $4 to help subsidize their recycling program. That's $8 in the last 2 years. Our rates are already so high for solid waste. If we were to do that, we probably would drive people to throw stuff in the ditches. So we don't want to do that. You know, every county I've spoken to, they've been subsidizing their program in one way or another. A lot of them are doing the assessments to their municipalities. Some are fortunate where they have old landfills, so they're, you know, using those reserves, but they've told me, you know, they're going to run out soon, and then they're not quite sure what they're going to do either. And then some programs are on the tax levy. So this program is not. But yeah, I guess now we're at the point, if you guys have any questions, or if you want to discuss if you'd like to offset the assessment and by how much money, because like I said, it's your guys' money, so you can decide how much you want to use.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I haven't been at this meeting for a good number of years, so where did that fund balance come from?
Yeah, so in the past, when the recyclable revenues were really great, this committee was smart, and they decided to set any extra revenue aside instead of like taking it back into their municipalities to cover if we went through hard times like this. And then like I was saying, if there's ever like we do better than we expected, and so the assessment was higher than it needed to be, then any of that extra money goes back into that fund balance as well. $56,510.11. Yeah, if we use 10, we would still be 1,000 over what we had last year before you used anything.
Does anyone have any thoughts on that, or suggestions or comments?
I think I should look at using $5,000.
We got a suggestion to use 10 and one for 5.
Yep.
And I suggest, why are we hanging on to, you know, so much money? Wouldn't we use 15?
You got in the bank, you're not getting that.
What was the per capita assessment last year?
It was 180. See, there was like some other decimals after that, but thought I had it somewhere in here. It was 1.8037.
Was this taken into consideration when you did the census?
So this is
Increase of people?
the 2019 population, and I won't get the 2020 till the end of October. So yes, it will change slightly. We update the,
Well, the per capita would bring in more revenue if we want.
yeah, we don't, so we send them a letter of how much, but we don't send them an invoice until January. The invoice will be accurate, the new number.
I would want to use $10,000 surplus revenue for the budget.
If you can't hear, Les made a motion to use $10,000 out of the fund.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to use $10,000 in the fund balance, and that would get us down to a per capita assessment of the $1.97 range, if I'm looking at the sheet right.
Yeah.
So is there any other discussion on that?
Any other discussion of our Zoom people?
Sounds good to me.
All right. Then we'll call the question. All in favor of using $10,000 for the recycling fund balance? Aye. Any opposed?
I,
I oppose.
We got,
Aye.
who was the opposed?
Two opposed?
Did two oppose?
Julie?
Julie?
So it passed.
All right, motion carries at that rate then, so then we're on to any municipal updates, open discussion, is that where we're at?
Yep, that looks like where we're at.
Oh, can I just ask, I didn't catch the per capita with the 10,000. I can't.
Yeah, it's 1.9721 is what it equals out to be.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mary, do you want to talk about Wapaka or do you want me to? Okay. Yeah, I was at the meeting and Evan was there, so I kind of have a little insight. So the Wapaka Recycling Center is having a meeting on Monday. So I'm not like officially sure exactly everything that's going to happen. But right now, Town of Farmington and City of Wapaka are considering going curbside for garbage and recycling collection starting in 2022. So depending on the recycling center meeting and everyone else's feelings, that site might look quite a bit different. So that there might be some changes to the program in the next year or so.
What do they get for bag day? That one was
$3, yeah.
Who else is on the bag day? Is Clintonville on that too?
Yep, Clintonville is, and you just raised your prices, Julie, didn't you?
Yeah, but we're Cause, not Clintonville.
Yeah, Cause.
I believe we went up a whole $1, so it's $3.50 a bag.
$3.50.
How much?
$3.50. Yeah, they just voted in July to increase their prices.
So there's Manilow, Wapaka, bag day.
And Iola. Yep,
What's the average?
Iola is $2.50 as well.
Are we in Manilow?
Iola and Mano are both $2.50, yeah. So yeah, if you guys want to raise, you definitely could.
We gotta go to new bag.
Did you guys get new tags, Julie?
No, our tags don't have a price on.
I don't think they have a price on them.
I never looked at it close.
No, we just, send the letter out to the vendors and for the new prices they charge per sheet of stickers.
Okay.
Sort of like a forever stamp, huh?
Correct.
Mhm. Anyone else have any updates at all? No? Your guys' contract, I think, is
I think
coming.
they're Manaway. I don't think Storms is bringing their own. They were a year ago. They quit. I think they're pulling it out themselves.
Right, our contract is up for renewal, I believe,
Yeah.
for the first of the year, so. The town of Bear Creek.
Are you going out for bid or staying with Gratian?
Sounds like we're probably talking with Lynn there from Gratian first
Okay.
and
I was gonna say if
talked
you,
about it on Monday night a little bit, but
my recommendation would possibly get bi-weekly recycling. If you,
instead of once a month.
instead of once a month, yeah. I have a friend that lives in town of Bear Creek and she throws stuff away. It really kills me because she says she doesn't have enough room to store it all. And I told her, contact your town board,
Right.
but
Is Union the same way? If they're every,
Monthly.
you're once a month as well, right?
I think most of them are bi-weekly though. Wyega, are you once a month too?
Once a month.
Everything, I think those are the three that are once a month and everyone else is bi-weekly.
Yeah, the recent years, it was quite a jump in the price. I'm gonna say $4,000 or $5,000.
You buy weekly.
Yeah.
You do a special assessment for resident here,
No, it's all
trading your general revenue.
right. It's hard.
Yeah, Union is two, and
So in other words, did you start this after the caps are on the
It's
revenue?
been on as long as I've been on the board, yes. So I've been
I
on the
mean,
board
when-
14 years.
Well, the caps started before that, and
Right,
so you would have to take it out of your general revenue unless you had approval for a special assessment.
right.
So you don't put it on the tax bill?
We do a special assessment.
Okay.
Yeah, you've had yours.
We've had it for years. It's
what is that,
increased
is
a
that
little bit.
hard to do?
Pardon?
It has increased.
Yeah,
I would also say too, for your guys' contract, you can try and get that line out where you have to pay the tipping fee. If you would like me to help with that, I can.
All right, sounds good.
I know Village of Fremont just re-upped their contract with Gratian. And they're paying, I believe it's $4.85 per household, for weekly garbage, every other week recycling. But that's a 5-year term with no increases, so I don't think that's too bad.
All right, thanks.
So Union, do that to me.
Yeah. Anyone else have any updates at all?
All right, then we'll move on to the upcoming meetings.
So normally we do it the third Thursday in September, at this time. Does that work for everyone that's here usually? Is that a bad time? Do you like it earlier? It's usually the third Thursday at 7 o'clock. Yeah, the third Thursday of September, sorry. Yes. Thank you. And then if needed, like we could call a special meeting in March, but usually we don't have to do that.
Anyone have any objection to that? Otherwise, we'll let it stand without a motion. As a continuing item from previous years, so we'll let that go then. All right, Any last things or for somebody, or otherwise we look for a motion to adjourn? Motion made, second adjourn, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much, everyone, for attending and via Zoom as well.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for attending. I hope you could hear okay.
Yep, just not the other people, but that's okay.
I did most of the talking, so. All right, bye guys, thank you.
Bye-bye.